Welcome back. It's the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza. Alex Napoles with me. Alex, let's talk some NBA playoffs. The city of New York is going crazy. I don't think they've slept yet.
I think they did they win? They won the championship, right? With the way they were celebrating?
You would think. I saw people climbing billboards.
I know, man. It's
riots
crazy.
in the streets, lighting off flares. Did you see the video of Timothée Chalamet?
I did not know.
So huge Knicks fan. A couple weeks ago, he chose not to go to the Met Gala because the Knicks were playing the same night. I don't even think it was a home game. I think it was on TV and he watched like from home.
Nice.
So he didn't go to like one of the most prestigious events like in the celebrity world. So I thought that was funny. He's been courtside at every Knicks playoff game. Last night he was there. Again, the city of New York celebrating. There was a video of him. He's like in a car, in a limo or whatever. The car's getting mobbed by all these fans just going crazy, celebrating. Timothy is like hanging out the window, celebrating, going wild. And fans like grab him and start pulling him out of the window. And whoever was in the car with him like had to pull him back in.
Oh, I love that, man.
So, I mean, yeah, New York hasn't seen success like this in basketball in a long time. I'm happy for them.
It's crazy, dude. Watching those videos on social media last night, you would have thought that they won the championship.
But I agree with you. Like, let's chill out a little bit.
You still got a little bit to go.
You didn't win the championship. You didn't even win the Eastern Conference championship. You are going to the Eastern Conference championship round. But yeah, nevertheless, they beat the Celtics. Really unfortunate that Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. I know last week. You weren't here last week. Last week I was kind of talking about how much I didn't like Jason Tatum. So I feel bad. Not that I tore his Achilles or anything, but it was just kind of bad timing. I still don't like him. But yeah, the torn Achilles is really unfortunate because bottom line, I mean, he's an Olympian, right? Gold medal, won the championship last year. He's a very good player. And I hate injuries, man. That's absolutely the worst part of sports. And
right.
This is a guy, Jason Tatum, 27, right? So he's in his prime.
And I think that's kind of been, unfortunately, the story of the playoffs.
Especially the Eastern Conference. Well, even the West with Steph.
Yeah, exactly. You have the Warriors losing Steph Curry. You have the Cavs who had 3 stars who were unavailable. And then, that last game, Donovan Mitchell has to kind of play through a little bit of a knock as well. And then now you have the Jason Tatum thing for Boston, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy how quickly, this championship window slammed shut for the Celtics because there were reports coming out even before the playoffs started that they were going to look to have to make moves as far as trading away probably Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis. And then you look at next year and you don't have Jason Tatum, but he's still on the books, right? So, that's dead money. And I'd be shocked if they are, they might make the playoffs next year because Jaylen Brown is that good. But who knows what they're going to end up doing. So this was a team that a year ago, best team in the NBA, they won the finals. And it looked like they could be the next dynasty. And then all of a sudden, things just changed that quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I got to give credit to the Knicks because I do think Jalen Brunson and Bridges has finally stepped up, right?
Yeah, we talked about him having a really quiet first round against the Pistons. He didn't really do much, but he had some really key plays against the Celtics, especially that one. I think it was game 1 or game 2 where he forced the key turnover at the end.
Right.
Jason Tatum went up, and it was Bridges who got his hand in there and forced the turnover. But he's been putting up points as well.
He's putting up points, and Bridges is coming around for them, showing up in the playoffs. But I gotta imagine where this series could have been if Tatum was able to stick it out and be healthy, man.
I don't know.
Does it go to a game 7? Does the Celtics have a better chance at coming back? 119-81, man. It's a little embarrassing.
Last night,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Boston got the win, the big win the other day, right?
Without Tatum.
And you kind of expect that. It's like a rally cry, right? Like we can't go out sad for our guy. Tatum tore his Achilles with like 2 or 3 minutes left in that game, so Boston still would have lost that game. And they were up. New York was up 3-1 at that point. Maybe Boston would have still won Game 5, with Jason Tatum, but I would have been shocked if they would have pulled that series off with a healthy Tatum anyways. I think it would have been an early exit for Boston regardless. But yeah, the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's big. They haven't seen momentum like this since the 90s.
Yeah. Yep.
They're going to be playing the Pacers. Pacers eliminated the Cavaliers. Last week I did a little bit on Donovan Mitchell saying that he's kind of a what-if man. Like that's the story of his career. Like what if, and you can point to every single year here with the Jazz, every single year with the Cavaliers, what if? They dealt with injuries last year, but ultimately at the end of the day, like this is a star player who hasn't made it out of the second round of the playoffs ever in his career. And it's a trend. And I don't know if it's just bad luck, if it's bad leadership. I don't know what it is, but Donovan Mitchell has not been able to, put his team on the back when they need it.
And for this,
and they're out.
Right. For the Cavaliers being the number one team in the East, getting the 64, however many wins they had this season, and for them to kind of falter, stall out the way that they did. Again, dealing with injuries, but at the same time, with the roster and the depth they had, you would have expected better and more from them. Or maybe we just undervalued the Pacers all along.
No, 100%. I mean, it's the best. It's exactly what we saw in Utah. The best record in the NBA, or in this case, they were best record in the East.
Right.
You shouldn't be losing in the second round of the playoffs, no matter what. And you mentioned the injuries, right? Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley, they missed a game, but then they returned, and maybe they weren't 100%, but that is still a very, very good roster.
Yeah.
And it's just things that happen late in the games. Like, it's frustrating to watch because you look at the point total, and he's scoring dang near 40 points a game, and you're listening to the broadcast and they're like, Donovan Mitchell scored the last 14 points in a row for Cleveland. And it's like, okay, how many shots has he been taking, right? This is a dude that whenever they get in a deficit late in the games, he takes the ball and nobody else ever touches the ball. And he just puts up a shot and it goes in sometimes and it doesn't go in others. And then when he needs like the game-winning shot or whatever, he misses. Like, it's a trend that we know all too well from Utah, and it's continuing in Cleveland, and they're not going to have success if he continues to play that way. And then you look at the roster, and it's expensive, and Evan Mobley just won Defensive Player of the Year, so he's eligible for even more money than he was going to get paid. They're kind of stuck.
Their window is really close to closing.
They're going to have to trade either Mitchell or Garland, and I think they're going to choose to hold on to Mitchell, right? I would not advise them to trade Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley. I think you got to keep both of those guys because their size is a big problem for other teams.
Yeah.
And if you trade one of those two and keep Garland and Mitchell, then all of a sudden you go to being small to really small because you lose your biggest player. So regardless, interesting offseason upcoming for the Cleveland Cavaliers as far as how do they feel they can get over this hump, because it's something that the Jazz were never able to figure it out, and the Jazz chose to strip it down and try again.
Absolutely.
And I think that's telling.
We'll see what they decide to do this offseason because for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it feels like they're at a really pivotal moment with the roster that they have and with kind of this nucleus that they have with Mitchell, with Garland, with Allen, with Mobley, like you were mentioning. How long does that window stay open for them? Can they make moves this offseason to extend that window, or is a second-round exit kind of your ceiling?
And the other thing, too, they have, I think it's 9 players on the roster for next year, but they're already over, I think, the second apron even. So they can't bring in free agents. They can't take on more money in trades. Basically, you're looking at trading one of your star players for a bunch of role players. Sam Merrill played a huge role with this team. He's going to be a free agent. They literally cannot bring him back because they don't have the money. Same with Ty Jerome. Big role players.
That's tough.
Can't bring them back because they literally don't have money. You have to fix this team by trading your one star player or one of your star players for a few other role players because you got to match the money. So it's a really tough spot for Cleveland to be in. We'll see what happens there. Over the West, Minnesota moving on. This series, I think, went the way everybody was expecting, right? Once Steph went down with his hamstring injury, they were saying that he would return game 6 at the earliest, and it's like, okay, well, they're not going 6 games. And they didn't. Minnesota wrapped it up in 5, and they're moving on. They're going to be they're the 6th seed in the West, and they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals for the 2nd year in a row.
Back-to-back appearances for the Timberwolves. The big question is going to be, of course, can they make it past? Can they make it over that hump and make it into an NBA final? So
they beat Denver last year in the playoffs, right? I think that would be another good matchup. We'll see. Or Oklahoma City would be a fun match. I think I think both of these conference finals actually are going to be really fun. I liked what Anthony Edwards has done for Minnesota. The big story, though, is Julius Randle, who all regular season, because remember, Minnesota traded Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle.
Right.
All regular season, that looked like one of the worst trades ever. Julius Randle was horrible for Minnesota. And I don't know if it's just the size mismatch against Golden State and he's just able to play bully ball, or if he's figured his stuff out, whatever. But he has been a dominant force for the Timberwolves, especially against Golden State. Like I said, they just couldn't stop him. And that takes pressure off of Anthony Edwards, and that's what you traded for. The little pit bull in the paint.
For people locally here, I wonder how people are feeling about the Minnesota Jazz making it to another Western Conference final.
Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
And Nickeil Alexander-Walker had a cup of coffee here in Utah. Or
had a cup of coffee.
32-ounce swig here in Utah for a little bit. I think there are a lot of Jazz fans, as far as from what I've seen, that really like it, and they're really rooting for them. Then there's another kind of section of Jazz fans that are, I don't know if it's jealousy or never liked Rudy in the first place, but I don't know. I personally, it's like, I don't really care either way.
I think it's cool because I think it's cool in the sense that, like, Rudy Gobert, 4-time defensive MVP, now has a chance again to potentially make it to the NBA Finals. Mike Conley, who is one of the dudes in the league, one of the great guys in the league that everybody respects. For him to have another shot at it, that's absolutely phenomenal. And for a guy like Anthony Edwards, who is making his way to becoming one of the faces of this league, to becoming one of the faces of the NBA, for him to have another chance too at such a young age, I think that's awesome. I'm really stoked for the Timberwolves. I'm really happy for the Timberwolves, and let's see if this is the year they can make it over that hump, man.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are saying, you're going to get... There's a real possibility that you're getting Pacers Timberwolves, right? And a lot of fans nationally would be upset. But I think that's kind of, in a way, what the NBA needs, because for so long they've been trying to figure out who the next face of the league is going to be once LeBron retires. And they haven't really found a concrete answer. But it seems if Anthony Edwards goes to the NBA Finals this year, he has a real chance of doing that, of putting himself up there and saying, I'm up next.
And the same thing can be said about Gilgeous-Alexander, man.
Game 7 tomorrow with the Nuggets and the Thunder. This has been an incredible series because on one hand, you have the best team in the NBA, best record in the West, incredibly deep, MVP candidate with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then on the other team, you've got the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, 3-time MVP. I personally think he should win this year, get his 4th. And it's been incredible. Going to Game 7 for the second round in a row for Denver. They took the Clippers to 7 games as well, so this would be tough to move on for them. It was also announced yesterday that Aaron Gordon is going to miss. Is he missing it or questionable?
I think he's missing it at this point.
I think he's out.
I think he's out at this point.
With an injury there, and he has been their biggest role player, especially with...
Oh, correction, he's day-to-day.
He's day-to-day.
Day-to-day is what it says so far.
Michael Porter Jr. has been really struggling. He's got a shoulder injury, so he literally can't shoot the ball. And Aaron Gordon has stepped up big time. He had the big game winner against the Clippers that essentially won them the series, that changed all the momentum. I don't think that Denver can beat Oklahoma City without Aaron Gordon being the third guy there. Because, of course, Jamal Murray's going to show up and show out. Jokic is going to do his thing. But they're already so thin, the Denver Nuggets. They don't have a bench. If you're losing your third biggest piece, like, that's just too much. The Thunder are going to overwhelm you.
It was cool. It was awesome to see in this, in Game 6, the Nuggets pull it off and be able to force that Game 7. Other guys on the roster started stepping up a little bit. Other guys started stepping up to help Jokic, and that's been the big question heading into the tail end of this series. Is when was Murray going to step up? Right, when was playoff Jamal Murray going to show up? And he kind of finally did. And so when Jokic has his help, this is a really good team. But
that's the thing, yeah. When you get to the playoff, when you get deep in the playoffs, it's not just about your best player versus their best player. It's a team thing.
Right.
You saw LeBron and the Cavs so many times. Like, LeBron got them there, and they lost to Golden State because Golden State was just a much deeper, much better team, even though LeBron at the time was arguably in his peak. Best player, one of the best players to ever live, couldn't get past Golden State because their team was just that much better, and he didn't have the help. But right now, that's kind of what we're seeing in Denver.
I would agree.
They had Julian Strawther off the bench, random guy, 3 of 4 from 3, 15 points in that Game 6 win to force a Game 7. They really needed it. I'm not going to count on Julian Strawther to do that again.
But that's what you need.
That's what they need. But exactly. I'm not gonna count on it to happen because he's a rando, right?
And especially if Aaron Gordon. Right.
If he's out.
If he's day to day and he's out and he's not available to go, who's going to step up?
Yeah. Again, we point to playoffs playing such a big role in all of these. I mean, you get to the conference finals, and it seems like all of these teams that are going to advance have had a little help due to just being the healthier team at this point.
There you go.
It's just a battle of attrition at this point. I do think a fun storyline would be, because Game 7 is in Oklahoma City, right? Russell Westbrook, Denver's 6th man off the bench. I do think it would be awesome to see him have a big game and help Denver win in Oklahoma City. I think that would be cool.
Rub a little salt in the wound.
Not that I don't think there's
City.
Any bad blood between Westbrook and
Definitely
the Thunder.
Not anymore.
But I think that would be cool. I've been up and down on Westbrook. I think he was overrated in his prime, but right now as a role player, I think he's cool. And he's had some big moments in the playoffs as well. But then, I don't know, you have the Thunder. You mentioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? Jalen Williams, another big-name player. The Alex Caruso trade has been huge for them. Isaiah Hartenstein, big free agency signing. So you've got all these pieces that are coming together. And we talked about it a little bit with the Giannis thing. It's like this is a key playoff run for the Thunder. Do they feel like they can win a championship with their homegrown guys? Or if they get an early exit here, do they feel like they have to give up maybe J-Dub and some of their treasure chest of draft picks to go get Giannis or something like that? So
right.
I think that's another pretty interesting fallout from these playoffs. What do the Thunder do? Because we mentioned all of their assets. They have even more draft picks than the Jazz have. And then they have, again, a player like Jalen Williams that, yes, he's good for them. He made the All-Star team this year, but they'd be more than willing to part ways with him if it meant getting somebody like Giannis.
And then, again, just a similar conversation we're having with the Denver Nuggets as far as this Game 7 goes. Who's going to step up and help Gilgeous-Alexander, man?
That's the thing with J-Dub is he's been cold.
Exactly. He had 32 points. Gilgeous-Alexander did. He had 32 points in Game 6. Chet had 19, but nobody else really
Jalen
put
Williams,
up double digits.
3 of 16. He scored 6 points on the night. 0 of 4 from three-point land. He did get 10 assists and 7 rebounds, which is fine, but this is a guy who's supposed to be your number 2, right?
Exactly.
And he's been really inconsistent in the playoffs. I've seen a lot of Thunder fans online, and of course it's, the vocal minority, right? But they've been really disappointed with Jalen Williams, and they'd be more than happy to trade him in the summer. But again, he's an all-star, right? And, of course, he's got the local connection, older brother of Cody on the Jazz. But, I think this kind of shows like there's a real difference between like your true stars and then your borderline stars.
Right.
And it's just the consistency factors. Like everybody has bad games. Jokic had a really awful game early in this series. But I mean, 3 of 16 and you lose game 6, you make it, you know, you're going to have to win game 7. Like that's a crucial game for the Thunder, and Jalen Williams couldn't perform when it mattered. Maybe he'll have a big game tomorrow. But we'll see. I do think it is to the Nuggets' benefit that they get 2 days off in between games. No games tonight, by the way. It's the first night since, would you say, April 17th?
I think so, yes.
That there's been no NBA action.
Since the play-in round.
So a month, essentially. And yeah, the Nuggets, again, we mentioned, very thin roster, very top-heavy. It's to their benefit that they get an extra day off. But I love this matchup. I think it's awesome.
Great matchup. I'm excited for Game 7 tomorrow. I'm excited to see who comes out of it because I think whoever doesn't make it, there's going to be some fallout, man. Like we're mentioning with the Thunder potentially making a move to see if a move can get them over the final obstacle to really be a true championship contender.
Yeah.
And for the Nuggets, there's going to be a lot of questions for the Nuggets heading into this offseason. No head coach. Right? The players.
Did they hire their interim? No, that was Memphis. They haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, they haven't announced.
They haven't announced anything for Denver.
Jokic is coaching the team.
Yes, but again, how can you capitalize on Jokic? Right, you're not going to let go of Jokic, but he needs help. He needs people surrounding him. So the Nuggets have a lot of questions to answer this offseason, and it's going to be pivotal to see who makes it through and the fallout of who doesn't make it through.
Just turned 30, right? So he's at the tail end of his quote-unquote prime, but you expect him, especially the way he plays, like he doesn't need athleticism or anything like that. So you would still expect Jokic to be a very, very good player for at least another 5-6 years, maybe even longer. So yeah, as long as he's on the team, you've got a window. Your role players have been really disappointing, especially Michael Porter Jr., right? So you got to see how you can trade some of these bloated contracts and get better depth around this true unicorn of a player. So
100%.
Game 7 tomorrow, I believe it is at 2:30.
1:30.
1:30. Sorry. Early afternoon game. A lot of people were upset about that. And then we'll get into the conference finals. So, again, winner of this will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're way over. We got to take a break. Coming up next, got a lot of news that we'll hit in 5 minutes of BYU hiring Brian Santiago as a new athletic director. Then we'll hit on some NHL playoffs as well. That's coming up next. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time for 5 minutes of. Got a lot of things to cover. Not enough time ever, Alex. Couple things real quick. Want to mention our poll that we have up on Twitter at KSL Sports Zone is the account. Jazz fans, how much longer can you handle a rebuild? I can't take it anymore. 1 more year, 2 more years, or as long as it takes. Right now, I can't take it anymore. Leading 39% of the votes. 1 more year is in second place with 27% of the votes. So chime in on Twitter at KSL Sports Zone, at C. Esparza Sports, or at Napoles Alex. You can also use the call-in feature on the KSL Sports app. We'd love to hear from you. Want to interact with our listeners a little bit more. We also got to hit Brock Purdy really quickly. Got paid by the 49ers. 5 years, $265 million, $181 million in total guarantees, averaging $53 million per year. So not quite towards the top of the list of highest paid quarterbacks, but he is up there.
I think he's the first one to get paid and not be the next highest paid quarterback, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think Tua got paid at the same time as Justin Herbert, and they were both after Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence was 55, and then Tua is about same thing, like 53. Dak is now the highest paid. I think he's going to be making $60 million a year.
Wild.
But yeah, it's almost always next guy is the highest paid.
Wasn't the case for Brock, but I think that's probably for the better, considering how much the 49ers had to give away this offseason.
Yeah, they had to give up Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
They had to trade away some defensive players or let people walk in free agency more so because that roster was getting really expensive. And Brock Purdy needs all these weapons.
He does.
He needs all the weapons he can get, man.
George Kittle got re-signed too, and so, I mean, they're locking down their key players. I'm very interested to see how the 49ers bounce back.
Yeah.
Last season was not,
they missed the playoffs,
They missed the playoffs. Last season was not good, considering how much hype was around that team.
Yeah, they finally got Brandon Ayuk locked up with big money.
Yeah. And they kind of fell flat. They fell really flat, honestly.
Really flat,
Really
Sean.
flat.
Really flat.
Yeah, it was a bad year.
We're just making fun of Sean. But no, in all seriousness, well-deserved from Brock Purdy. Well-earned from Brock Purdy. I'm excited to see if the 49ers are able to have a good bounce-back year, right? As an avid follower of the Los Angeles Rams, I follow, obviously, a lot of what the 49ers do. And so if it makes the competition fun, I'm all for it.
I don't love Brock Purdy, but it is cool. The whole story, being the last pick in the NFL draft, for as over-talked about as it is, being the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, to being one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league, that's always awesome. I saw a stat. I can't remember the number that he was making per year. It was like $900,000 or $600,000 a year on his previous deal. He's now going to be making that like every 6.7 days or something like that.
It's insane.
So
how
this
much...
it's an incredible story, no matter what happens after he signs this deal. But big news for Brock Purdy, big news for 49ers fans. And I know there's a lot of 49ers fans locally, so that's why I wanted to hit that real quick before we jump into some other news. Brian Santiago named the next athletic director for BYU Athletics, taking over after Tom Holmoe announced that he would be retiring. It was a long search, Alex, about 3 months long. The president, C. Shane Reese, he said that they traveled thousands of miles, interviewed like 50 candidates or something like that. Ultimately, they are ending up staying in-house with the guy that was kind of the favorite to take over, in Brian Santiago. He's been a part of this program for about over 20 years, so he's been through it. He's been through it all. Knows what it takes, I guess, is the biggest thing here. Knows what it takes to win for BYU. He's seen them go through independence and some lows there, but I mean, as of last year, that was one of the best years in BYU athletics ever, right? With their football team having such a great year, and then the basketball team making the Sweet 16, and the arrow is pointing up for them. So Santiago's the guy to take this program to new heights.
And I think that's probably the starting point for Brian Santiago. Make sure that arrow keeps pointing up.
Yeah.
Make sure
you got a lot of pressure.
Whatever trajectory the BYU Athletics is on right now, it's now your job to maintain that and better it. And that's a tall task, considering how much uncertainty there is right now around college athletics.
Yeah.
And how much change there is right now in college athletics.
So keeping anything stable is tough.
Right. And that's his challenge. That's what he's going to have to do. The good thing for him, he's worked under Holmoe for a really long time. He understands, the ideas, the philosophies, and everything that Tom Holmoe has done. And I'm sure that he's going to encapsulate that the best way that he can, while also making sure that this BYU side continues to trend upward, because that's the direction they need to continue to head on. They're on a really, really great path right now, and it's going to be Santiago's job to make sure that they stay on that path.
A lot of talent from a double-digit win football season is returning. Yep. Basketball-wise, like I mentioned, Sweet 16 last year, and then you've got AJ DeBonsa coming into Provo this next year. So it's pretty crazy. It's a fun time for BYU athletics, and then you get the new athletic director. So hopefully he can have a good long career there for BYU, because that would mean he's seeing success.
Absolutely.
And BYU's success is always good for us.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
We want to see the basketball team continue to succeed. We want to see the football team continue to succeed, because it just makes everything fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got to talk Stanley Cup playoffs underway. Big game last night. The Toronto Maple Leafs getting the 2-0 win over the Florida Panthers. They are forcing a Game 7 over in the East. Carolina, they defeated the Washington Capitals. So the winner of Maple Leafs and Panthers will be playing Carolina Ovi out. That wasn't a very competitive series. Carolina won that series 4-1. But Game 7 for the Maple Leafs and Panthers. Panthers are the defending champions, by the way. The Maple Leafs have one of the best scorers in the league in Austin Matthews. Mitch Marner, a big name to watch for Toronto because he could potentially hit free agency this year. He might be a future Utah Mammoth. Another big game today in the West. We've got the Jets and the Stars. Game 6, Dallas leads this series 3-2. The Jets won their previous game to force this Game 6. Staying alive for the Jets, but I think Dallas wins it eventually. I mean, if the Jets won essentially 3 games in a row to win this series, because they'd have to win Game 5, 6, and 7 to advance.
That would be wild.
So that would be huge. But I like the Stars. I like Mikko Rantanen. I like that acquisition at the trade deadline. And the winner of that series will be playing the Edmonton Oilers, who they beat the Golden Knights 4-1. So there is a possibility, depending on what happens with Florida, we could get a repeat Oilers and Panthers Stanley Cup Finals. But right now, I don't know Carolina looked really good. I watched, I think, all of their games against the Hurricanes. I just happened to be free. They looked so good. Against the Devils. They looked really good in that first round against New Jersey, and they kind of came out of nowhere because, I don't know, it didn't seem like they were not a lot of people had them pegged to go to the finals, I guess, when everything started. Because you had all the other storylines, right? You had Ovechkin. Yeah, you have, of course, Toronto. They were the 1 seed, and Tampa Bay looked really good, and I don't know, the Panthers, of course. So we'll see.
I think for me, disappointingly, was the Oilers in the Vegas Knights series, man. The Golden Knights. Golden Knights disappointed, and I've seen a lot of chatter, a lot of murmur online in the recent days whether or not their window is about to close. So I'm interested to see what the Golden Knights do in this offseason. Tonight, Jets Stars, I don't see the Jets winning in Dallas, man.
Sean?
Mikko Rantanen, I love that guy. He's phenomenal. And I think the Stars will end up closing the series here at home tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Dallas looks really good. I think, especially at home, that barn, as they call it, it's electric over there.
Sean is our local NHL expert. That's why we asked him to chime in. So Thursday, the Jets did beat the Stars 4-0.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a big surprise because Rantanen went cold after having 2 separate hat tricks. Each of those came in 1 period.
Right.
So he's had a big playoffs, but then, I don't know, the Jets were able to win and force a big Game 6 today. So we'll see.
And that's why I think Dallas will end up closing it here at home tonight, is because Mikko Rantanen and this Dallas team have done it night in and night out throughout the entire course of the NHL playoffs. They just happen to have one bad night. I don't expect, considering what we've seen from Dallas, I don't expect that second bad night to continue into this game, right?
Yeah.
I think they'll take care of business at home. And then for the Maple Leafs, you had your lead. Thank you for trying, but you're getting eliminated by the Panthers.
You're picking Florida over Toronto.
I'm going Florida, man.
I think the biggest thing for the Jets, Connor Hellebuck sucks on the road, right? That's like his big thing.
Yeah, this year he's been really bad.
Yeah, they're not getting it done. I'm picking Dallas.
There you go.
Then I'm going Toronto on the other side.
Oh,
I like Austin Matthews. I like his mustache. No, but really, he's one of the best scorers in the NHL, and he has kind of, the reputation of not really showing up in the playoffs. So maybe that holds true, but at some point you've got to get over the hump, right?
Sean, Toronto, Florida?
I've got Florida. Austin Matthews did finally show up in the last game.
Yeah.
So last night. So if he plays well, it's at Toronto. That should be a good game either way. But yeah, I've got the Panthers.
The Panthers have some dogs too. I mean, that's why they're defending Stanley Cup champions. They just made the big acquisition for Marchand at the trade deadline as well. So and then you've got, names like Alexander Barkov. I know Coach Bear talked about him a lot throughout the season as being one. I mean, Coach Bear really looks up to Barkov as like one of the best players in the NHL. And then you've got players like Kachuk, who we saw on the Team USA roster
Right.
in the Four Nations face-off. So big names for Florida. If Toronto loses, there would be one Canadian team left in Edmonton.
The Oilers.
So the American in me kind of wants, that's the other reason. Or I kind of wants Florida to win, right?
Okay.
We'll see.
I'm going Panthers, man. Even though they've had their ups and downs this series, I still think that they've got the edge over the Maple Leafs.
We will revisit in a week.
All right.
We got to take a break. Coming up next, we will wrap up the show. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. Alex, big day for RSL. Today, they're going to be at home against Colorado. No, that's right. It's on the road. The schedule says at home. Our schedule says at home, but then Google says on the road. Anyways, regardless, RSL coming off the 0-0 draw Wednesday night against Portland.
Yes. It's a short week. You got to bounce back and head down to the other side of the Rockies and face your bitter rival. Good opportunity. Colorado coming to this one in not the best of form, but in all reality, Rouselik also struggling in front of net besides Diego Luna. And so it's a good opportunity for both to really get back on track. And both teams kind of need the 3 points right now. So it's going to be a fun one to watch tonight between two rivals in Rouse Lake and Colorado.
RSL head coach Pablo Mastroeni, he played for Colorado, correct?
Colorado Rapids legend. Won an MLS Cup with Colorado.
So that's always fun. But regardless, even before that, I mean, this has been a rivalry that's been here for years for RSL. I remember even when I was a kid, I was telling you off air, you'd go to the games and RSL fans would hold up signs that say Colorado Crapids.
Yep.
I thought that was so funny when I was like 10. So that's fun. That's going to be a 7:30 first kick, 6:30 pre-match show here on 97.5. 12:80, we're going to have the Utah Royals at Washington. That's a 5:30 first kick and then a 5 pre-match show.
That's right.
We've also got the Bees. They're going to be on streaming and 102.7 HD2. They're at Sacramento. It's going to be a 7:37 first pitch and then a 7:20 pregame show. Real quick, want to update on the poll that we put out during the show. I think it's a super interesting question that you asked, Alex. Jazz fans, how much longer can you handle a rebuild? Please go vote at KSL Sports Zone on Twitter, or you can chime in at C Esparza Sports. Let me know, or let Alex know at Napoles. Alex, how much longer can you handle a rebuild? I can't anymore is leading with 38.5% of the votes. One more year, second place, 26.5%, and then as long as it takes is the third place option. 22%. Nobody wants to vote for 2 more years, which is interesting.
As long as it takes having 21% of the vote, I think that's interesting.
That is very interesting. Because that's a lot higher of a number than I would have
That's
thought.
not the vibe I got from social media this week, but apparently, I think maybe now after a couple days after the lottery, you step back, you really assess the situation. I think maybe the view changes a little bit, and now we're seeing 21% of the votes going to as long as it takes for the Utah Jazz.
Again, go let us know at KSL Sports Zone on Twitter. I'll probably put a poll up on my personal Instagram too. So, time to wrap up though. Thanks for making us a part of your Saturday morning. Hope you've got great plans for the weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.